Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing these 90s inspired travel straws. They are nostalgic, they are fun, and these colors are definitely summer ready. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's wake up, prep these tumblers or straws, and slay all day. Let's do this. So for those who have never seen these before, I'm going to briefly go over them just so that way you guys know what they look like. So I purchased these through the Stainless Depot. I'll put the link down below where I got these. But they come in a 20 ounce and a 30 ounce, so that way you can have them for your varying size of tumblers, because you know, some tumblers are bigger and smaller than others. But when you get it, it actually comes wrapped in bubble wrap. I forgot to put it back on this one because I had taken it out earlier to look at it. It comes with a little key thing at the top so your customers can connect it to whatever they want, and all you have to do is unscrew it, and on the inside you're going to have your telescoping straw and a telescoping cleaning wand as well, which I'll kind of show you guys that here in a second. But all you have to do is pull it out. There you go, you have your portable straw, and then when you're done you just clean it and put it back together and you're on your way. But I know a lot of places do not offer plastic straws anymore, and I am not a big fan of paper straws. So this is actually a great option for me and my family. I can just make up a bunch of these, have these on my key fob, and we all have our travel straws if we would like to. So, all right, so that's what those look like. So now let's get down to designing them. So we're going to basically treat these like pens. If you've done pens before, you're going to take everything out. You're going to put it into a baggie off to the side. Then we are going to come through and we are going to detach the little key ring at the top, just so that way it doesn't get in our way. So we're going to go ahead and detach that. We are also going to come through, and the little rubber gasket right on the top here, it is removable, which is great again, so that way you can remove that to wash it properly. But we're going to go ahead and remove that and place that off to the side as well. Now the next step we are going to do is we're going to give everything a good sanding. So I'm just using, I believe, an 80 grit block here, and I'm just going to go around and sand everything down really good. This is just to prep our surface for the paint that we will apply. After I am done sanding, I'm just going to go rinse them off with water. I'm not going to use soap or anything. I'm just going to rinse them and let them dry completely. Now we need to make up some little wands, if you want to call them that, to go inside of the tube, so that way we can handle these when we go to apply our glitter and our UV resin. So I went to Home Depot and I went over to their lumber section, and I brought one of these portable straws with me, and I went and I found a dowel rod that would kind of fit inside of there. It didn't fit completely, but that's okay because I have some of that paper, or not paper, but the liner that I'm going to be using as well to kind of fit everything together. I didn't want it too tight. And I am basically just going to eyeball where or how long I want my rods to be. Now this ended up being about 6.5 inches. I came through and I measured it, and then I'm just going to go every 6.5 inches or so and cut my dowel rod until I have all the rods that I need. Now I'm going to be using UV resin to coat these today, but if you're going to be using regular epoxy, make sure your rods are long enough so that way you can put them onto your rotisserie. You just want to use a rotisserie just like you would do with your pens. And once I have all my little marks made up there, I'm just going to take some gardening shears. I just use these for my branches and stuff in my yard. Worked fine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those up. And now that those are cut, we're going to go ahead and cut just little strips of this foam drawer liner. Now I use this foam drawer liner for everything, for tumblers and stuff that just are kind of weird and just don't fit my wands properly. It is a great thing to be able to use. So I just cut a little piece, shove that inside of there, put my stick inside of there, and they are a perfect match to go in there and hold steady. Now we're going to come through and we want to tape off on the lids, the little screw section there. You don't want to epoxy that at all, so I'm going to go ahead and cover that with just some painter's tape. And I'm also going to cover up where the key ring goes because we don't need to epoxy that either. So we're just going to cover those up so that way they don't get anything on them that we don't want on them. All right, everything is all prepped. The lids are all taped up and the bottoms are ready to go. And now we're ready to paint. So I did not know this, but Rustoleum does sell fluorescent spray paints. There we go. I didn't know that. but now I do. So this will be my first time using them today, and I'm pretty excited. As you can see, my daughter got some paint on the one. That's okay. So when you look at the lids, you can kind of see how the paint's going to look. If it's going to be transparent, the lid will kind of look transparent, but if it's going to be a solid color, the lid is more solid. So I know that these fluorescents are going to work like any other fluorescents and be a bit transparent. So I'm going to go ahead and spray paint my pieces here with a white, so that way that fluorescent color really pops. But the first thing I need to do is make something that can hold all this stuff after I spray paint and do what I need to do without having to handle it. So I just took an old box from one of my tumblers that I used here, and I cut an X in it, which I'm going to show you a little bit better here. You just cut an X, just a small X, right like that, just right like that, and then you just pop your thing down in there. And I do these with pens as well. This was actually used for my pens, but now you have something to hold your stuff while you spray paint. So I went outside and I spray painted everything white. Now I have 4 different of these portable straws, so you just want to make sure that one lid and one base is one color, so green, pink there, orange, and yellow. So you just want to make sure that each lid and each base all get at least one of those colors on there. You want to make sure that it'll match up, and you can kind of mix and match once it is all said and done. So I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go ahead and spray paint everything with my fluorescent colors. But this is just a base for the glitter that we'll be using. Look at those colors, so pretty. I mean, it'd be pretty like that too. And then just put a little bit of glitter into some epoxy and wipe it on there. Those would have been good to go as well. So pretty, I love these colors. Now that that is nice and dry, we're gonna go ahead and move on to glittering these up. So I am using a UV resin, and for those of you that don't know, UV resin needs a UV light to be able to activate it and cure it properly. So you can either use a UV light, or if you have lots of sunshine like I do here in Florida, you can go outside and just stick them outside and it'll work the same way. So either way, either a UV lamp or the sunshine, the natural sunshine as it is. We'll get more into that in a second. So for the yellow, I am going to be using lemon. For the pink, I will use taffy. For the green, lime. And for the orange, popsicle. And those are from my glitter shop, socglitters.com. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the pink one first here, and we are going to do it just like we would do a tumbler or your pen. You just want a very thin coating of your UV resin to go onto the top to be able to get our glitters attached. So just a very thin layer. You're going to go ahead and rub that all the way around. You're going to take your glitter, and I'm trying to make sure, I want to reuse my glove for all these, so I have my one finger up in the air. You're going to go ahead and sprinkle on your glitter just like you typically would. And then after you sprinkle on your glitter, you're just going to give it a little bit of a set with your UV light. I don't set it all the way because I want to come through and glitter up all of my items first before I go ahead and properly cure it the rest of the time that the bottle recommends. So I'm just going to give it a quick set. I'm going to place that off to the side, and then I'm going to continue to glitter up the rest of my portable straws. But on the back of the packaging, it will tell you how long they recommend. They recommend about 10-15 minutes, I do believe. And after I'm done doing this, like I said, I just set it with my light, but it was a beautiful sunny day out today. So I just go ahead and I go place them outside for about 10 minutes, and then they are ready to have another coat of UV resin applied over top of the raw glitter. But if you're not able to make it outside, it's not a very sunny day, just using your UV lamp as recommended works perfectly fine as well. Now over top of the raw glitter, it's going to need about 2 more coats before I come through and give it a sanding and apply the decals. So all I'm going to do is treat it just like how we applied the glitter. You're going to put a very thin, this stuff is very thin, so it runs, so you just want to be very careful. And what I like to do is I like to turn it in my finger, almost like how a tumbler is, so that way it stays nice and even as it's curing, so that way it doesn't get lumpy in certain places. So again, I'm just going to give all these about 2 more coats. I'm going to let those cure properly, and they'll be ready to start giving it a little sanding and applying our decals. All right, they are all cured, and I took off the tape and I took the sticks out so that way we could come through and properly give these a sanding. So the first thing I'm going to do is come around the edges and treat it again, just like a tumbler. We're going to clean up those rims really good. We're going to come through and clean up the threads along the top as well really good. And we are also going to take our knife and run it along the top where the key ring is too. So you just want to take your knife and you just want to very carefully make sure you come through and get any little extra out of there. And we are also going to come through with our sanding block too. So just get out as much as you can. And you just want to come through and clean up the top so that way that UV resin has something to stick to. You don't want to bring it up too far up onto that. So I'm going to come through and do all this, and then we're going to come through and start sanding. Now, after you start sanding, you just want to be very careful. You don't want to accidentally bring it down too far. So you just want to come through and give it a very good light sanding. Now, if you feel it needs another coat of UV resin over top before you move on to the next step, go ahead and do that. I felt comfortable enough to go ahead and move on to doing up my decals after I was done with my sanding. So after I'm done with my sanding, I'm going to rinse them off in the sink. I'm not going to use soap or anything like that. I'm just going to give them a quick rinse. I'm going to dry them off really good, and then we'll be ready to start applying our decals. So for the decals, I went on to Creative Fabrica. I hope I'm saying that right, Creative Fabrica. Anyways, I went on there. I looked up 90s inspired patterns and I found the patterns that I like. I'll make sure to put it down in the description box below for you guys so that way you guys can pick up this pattern as well. I cut out my main portion in black and then just the confetti pieces are in a teal and a yellow. Again, I'll put those colors down in the description for you guys as well. But that's all I did for the pattern that I'll be using today. So basically, if you look at 90s inspired stuff, there's usually a big bold pattern. So that's why I did the black. I'm going to apply all these black pieces on first. And then essentially what I'm going to do is come through and take the confetti and just put the right over top of the black decals on our straws. I keep wanting to call them tumblers. I'm shocked I haven't done it yet. So I'm just taking little bits of the confetti and doing one side in the teal, and then I'm going to flip it and do the other side in the yellow, and then we have our 90s themed design going on our portable straws here. But laying this design down is completely abstract. You can add as much of the black background as you like, as much as the confetti as you would like. It is completely up to you on how you would like to design these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish putting on my little decals on all my stuff. Now, as you've seen there, at first, I was going to have them all one solid color, which you could obviously do, but I'll show you guys here in a second what after I started putting them together, I kind of liked the idea of switching out the caps. I thought it looked kind of neat, so that's me. But you guys know there is no right or wrong when it comes to making art. However you think it should be is exactly how it should be. And no matter what, I know you guys got this. No matter what design you put on this, I know you guys got this. All right, now they are ready to get their last finishing coats of UV resin put on, so we are going to place them back onto their little mini wands. Then we are going to come through and tape up the threads, and we are going to tape up the tops as well on the lid portion where it has all that stuff on there. We're going to go ahead and tape that stuff up to make sure that none of that UV resin gets down in there. We're going to come through and we are going to start giving it its final coats of UV resin. And just like earlier, we're going to apply our UV resin. We are going to set it with our UV lamp. We're going to go ahead and do up the rest of them. We're going to let that cure properly for about 10-15 minutes in a UV type light. So out in the sunshine or with your UV lamp, you're going to apply a second coat over top. You're going to gauge whether or not it needs another coat after that second coat. And once they are properly cured, of course, we have to put all our little doodads back on. We're going to go ahead and apply that O-ring back around, or our seal back around the top there. We're going to go ahead and apply the little key fob there. Now you could add it, you could do up your own cute little key thing if you want to, make a cute keychain to go with it. We're going to go ahead and put the straw back in there with its cleaning wand. And here's where I decided I'm going to keep those lids kind of in separate colors. So I did the orange with the pink and the yellow with the orange. I just thought it looked really cool. And now they are officially ready to go. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.